We're back live again. This is Coffee and Shrewsbury Part 4. And we've been having some technical difficulties. That's why suddenly there's 4 parts to this. Not like we're doing some epic episode. Just that we can't seem to maintain connection. So I'm actually going to move out of here because we've been sitting here. This happened twice. Sitting in one place, just getting disconnected. I don't know why. It's very strange. Maybe Shrewsbury just doesn't like AT&T mobility. So we're going to move on and head somewhere else. Actually, I'm going to head to the sawmill. There's a lumber yard close by that I need to go visit today. And we'll make our way to that place. But I appreciate you guys being patient. And but how was the coffee? So we're finished the donut. The coffee, the donut was the donut was good. It was fine. Like there's a little bit too sweet when you get into the mix. It's a little bit too sweet. I wish it was a little bit better balance. Like if I think that if they took the mix and if they took the two mixes, the strawberry filling and the whipped cream, and they pre-mixed them before injecting them into the donut in equal proportions or whatever proportion they want, I think it'd be such a better donut. Like I think it'd be so much more superior. But since they didn't, and they only did it that way, meaning that they're injecting them both separately. So there's like big globules of cream cheese, of whipped cream, and big globules of strawberry, that it just didn't work out as well, unfortunately. Just too, like, to me, from the way I look at it, is a bit too helter-skelter in the way that it performs in its finished form. So what can you do? Marco always wants to know, like, how was the pairing? So the pairing was good. Like it was solid. It was solid. Like nothing crazy, but solid. Decent. And now, okay, so decent while you're drinking, while you're eating. Okay, so decent while you're eating something with it, like eating the donut with it, the coffee is decent. But now that the donut is gone, and I am now drinking it solo, now the real, and it's cooler now. Not that it was really hot when we started, but it's cooler. It's even cooler now. Now the holes become more apparent in it because, like I said before, they have a bunch. They do 6 different coffees typically. Looks like a dark roast, a medium roast, which is this one, a dark roast decaf, and then 3 different flavored coffees. And I'm sure they're changing the flavoring offerings on a regular basis. And these flavored coffees are, without a doubt, going to be. The base coffee is going to be something cheap because the roasters never want to use expensive coffees for flavoring because they're going to add flavoring, which adds to their costs. So they don't want to add additional cost to that. And most people that are buying flavored coffees do not want to spend a lot of money. They want as much value, economic value, as they can. On top of all of that, they are not practicing very good AirPot management, right? So AirPots are typically made in 2 ways. They're made either with stainless steel thermal linings or glass thermal linings. Either way is fine. Either way is relatively inert. Both can have some buildup, and you do have to clean them regularly. And I always like to use hot water and OxyClean to clean up residual scum, colorant, flavor on any of those surfaces. So, but tasting this coffee, you can see that it's very apparent that they're not very good at that, or at least the intervals, if they are doing routine cleaning, their intervals are too long for their volume and you can tell that they don't manage pot separation. Like at Spro, when we used to do things like similar to this. Like, and it wasn't actually in Spro's era. It was actually in the company that I had before that, a place called J.C. Rice. When we first started coffees, we actually did flavored coffees, but flavored coffee air pots. There's my English. Air pots that we use for flavored coffees were only used for flavored coffees. We would never use regular air pots to hold flavored coffees. You could go the other way, but you would never use it the other way, right? Because you don't want to introduce the flavor into your regular coffee. And you can tell by the taste of this coffee that that is something that they could be a lot better on. Because I can taste the hints of flavoring that are from the air pot. And it's obvious, at least it's obvious to me, that they're from the air pot, not, mixed in. So that's the one, that's the major crippling effort to this coffee. Like, otherwise the coffee's just fine coffee, fine, soft, not terribly challenging, not terribly descriptive, not terribly not many attributes, like, especially coffee type attributes, but also not heavily defecty like you'd expect from, a commercial coffee. It's more what we might consider a premium coffee. Maybe 70 to 77 points on the specialty coffee scale. So not terrible, but not quite as good. Malcolm says sometimes you're writing such a long paragraph, I now have to read and take my hands off the road. Sometimes after I wonder if businesses taste their own products and think, yeah, I'm happy with selling this. Are our definition of what's good enough? Hold on a second. There's a rather technical interchange that I have to navigate. So reading and then comprehending and then considering is a challenge when you're going through these things. Like, this is one where they kind of weave in across the road. Like, the road goes from the right to the left and back to the right now. So it's like, I gotta be careful, otherwise I will crash. Like, are our definition of what's good enough that different? I mean, I think that it's a good point, and I think that I would believe that most operators. Okay, so most people that start coffee enterprises are not like me. Like, I did not start coffee because, well, what I mean by that is most people that start coffee shops and things like that do so because they have some kind of love for coffee, right? They love coffee in some form or another. I'm not like that. I did not start in coffee because I love coffee. In fact, I totally thought coffee was disgusting. It's a horrible, bitter, nasty tasting product that I really never wanted to have anything to do with. I never thought that it would ever be part of coffee. Like, never. I thought I was going to be like in Hollywood forever, living the glamorous life, partying with celebrities and doing cocaine with them, things like that. I never thought about getting into coffee. I got into coffee because of just serendipitous events. So because I think most people that get into the coffee business love coffee at some level, I presume they're drinking their own coffee because they like it and they're drinking their own product. Now, where I think that that falls down is, while people may love coffee, I don't know if they necessarily know coffee very well, right? So if you're someone that came of age or grew up or whatever you want to call it, drinking Folgers, and you love Folgers, right? Like, you love the caffeine, you love the feeling that it gives you, you love the dark roast, you love the dirtiness, like, that's what you love, right? You like that stuff. I know it's hard to believe, but some people do, and many people must, because they sell so much of it. If that's what you know, then even if you're tasting coffee that is marginally better, but still quite defect heavy, you're going to think that's good. And then a lot of operators Operators tend to be egotists, right? I'm like that. I'm an ego-driven guy, right? Like, I try to overcome that. I try to maintain some kind of like, hopefully a thought process in my mind. But and then operators get mad because they're like, they get criticism online, like in Yelp, and they're like, these people should say something, It's like, well, you know what? But the problem with telling people, talking to the operators, that you don't, as a consumer, you don't know your operator necessarily, right? You don't know how they're going to react to you, right? Are they someone that is conscious that perhaps there could be issues, or they want to improve, or they're trying to continually improve, so they want that feedback, they would like to have that feedback? Or are they the kind of operator that thinks that they're doing an amazing job? Any question or criticism about that is an affront to their ego, an affront to their person, and they must, those are the guys that become defensive and angry and all this, and it's just like, you know what? Even as a consumer, people ask me, well, why don't you tell that, why don't you say they tell the people there is a problem? I said, because I don't know if that operator is even interested to know that. It's not worth my time to do that. I'd rather just write about it online and be like, hey, this sucked. Right? And because also I think that, when it comes to being an operator, you don't really have a lot of opportunity. Like some of my friends, like, let's say with cigars, right? Some of my friends are like, you should try 3 cigars. I do not want to spend, if the cigar costs me $15, I'm not really willing to spend $45 to figure out if I really don't like a cigar, if the first one that I had, I didn't enjoy for whatever reason, right? There has to be something more to that. So, and what I mean by that is that I think that when you're an operator, you really only have one chance to really make a good impression. So you always have to try to be firing on all 3 pistons. And I think a lot of operators, I don't know if for that, if they have that thought, or they just don't even care. I don't know. That's, I would like to, but to your point, I would like to believe that they taste it, but they may not necessarily have the capacity to evaluate their own coffees, which is, the reality of it all. Paige says, I don't do flavored coffees unless it's a co-ferment or just from special processing. I hear you. I'm like, now I will say that I used to be someone that did do, when I was in the 90s, when I really wasn't a coffee drinker and I was just drinking it because they had it at the cigar shop that I would hang out at. They had hazelnut coffee, man. I sucked the hell out of those hazelnut coffees. I could be see this 16-ounce hazelnut coffee with like this much room for cream and like 6 packets of sugar. That was my jam right there. Like, I like that. That was all about that. So, but I'm not like that anymore. Like now, the flavoring, because now that I've advanced more in my own like capacity as a food professional, like I understand things more, and my palate has tasted a lot more things. So my tolerance for artificial flavoring in coffee is not very high. It's like, plus they just don't taste very nice. It's Fortnite fun. How are you doing? Good. Welcome to the show. We do this live stream about coffee most Monday through Fridays. I have to say most because it's not every. We try to be every, but most of the time we didn't. We only did 2 shows this week because I was away. But good to see you. If you have questions about coffee, let us know. Not just for me, but anyone else here. There's a lot of our regular family here has lots of experience in coffee. Indian Mirza, how are you again? Oh, that was from the last one. You do look like Rafael Caro Quintero. Like I was saying, you said that, and then right when we had our loss. So I guess I appreciate that, but I don't know Rafael. However, My hope is that Raphael was one of the suitors of, oh no, what is her name? I can't remember her name. She was a Mexican actress, raven haired, very light skin, beautiful. Like I had a big crush on her for a while. For a while, I probably still do. But if he dated her, then that is a great. Then I'll be very excited. She was in a movie called Niñas Mal, as well as she was in a couple other ones. Niñas Mal and yeah, I think she was also in a couple of American series. Queso says, I'm the same way, but largely with drip or pour. Oh, totally, totally. And Kesto says, latte, too much fun to come up with syrup. Yeah, I like to believe you don't need too much flavorings and syrups. It even kind of translates into like my own like cooking. Like let's say meats. I'm not a like I will use herbs and spices on different things and for different reasons. But a lot of times, like let's say steak. I'm a big or most meats. I'm a big believer in salt. Like that's it. Just salt. Let the flavor of the meat come through. It's even translating into my woodworking, right? So as I've been doing this woodworking thing, exploring different finishes, and I've tried a lot of different finishes, and there's many ways to finish wood, but I'm feeling like right now that I'm gravitating towards this thing called tung oil, which is again, it's kind of like the salt of woodworking, right? You just put this tung oil on. It's one ingredient, very simple ingredient, long curing time. But as it cures, you really see the depth and complexity of the grain developing. Like it's just like this table that I built like 4 weeks ago. Like I put the first coating on and like it was nice. A week later, 10 days later, I looked at it, I was like, whoa, it's so different. It's so like deeper. It's deeper. So I put the second coat on after about 12 days. And it's been a week since that's happened, so I'm gonna see if there's any difference. But I like it. I like to believe in simplicity, meaning that like really nice quality ingredients, and allow those to shine. So like even with coffee, I prefer to buy as nice a quality of coffee as we can, and just let that happen. Just let that express itself. Right? I don't really want to give it too much dressing. Indian says, I met his friends back in 1983 in Guadalajara and saw him from a distance. Oh, I'm going to have to look up this guy, Rafael Caro Quintero. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not too familiar with Rafael. But I imagine if you say I look like him, then he must have been an incredibly handsome man. Very handsome. My dad was a diplomat, mid-level, posted in high commission, Mexico City. So I used to, oh, lovely, lovely. So he was a diplomat for another country, or for the United States maybe, or a different one. Mexico City, I love Mexico City. I've spent quite a bit of time there. And I think it's a fabulous, fabulous city. Any reason that I can get to go to Mexico City, I'm very happy to exploit. It's just like wonderful food scene, wonderful, actually really nice coffee scene, and just beautiful. Well, of course, it's only beautiful in certain sectors, right? Like, if I personally like an area called La Condesa, which is kind of the Art Deco area, and it's basically at some point in time there used to be a big horse racing track, like a big oval racing track. And at some point in time, I guess in the 1920s, they decided to get rid of the track, but use that track as kind of the basic layout for the neighborhood. And so a lot of his 1920s era art decor type of architecture, just like nice, quaint, like little boutique places to stay. Like I used to stay a lot at a place called the Red Tree House, which I think is a wonderful, wonderful B&B, run by a really nice couple, and they've experienced great success since they started. They started really, like, I think in 2005, 2006. I started going there in 2007, And back then, it used to be really cheap, like $50 at the most to like get a nice room there. Of course, as they're excellent innkeepers, excellent, like very very excellent. Like I highly recommend them. And they were so since they're so excellent, popularity increased. So as the years went by, their rates rose commensurately, which it is still worth it. But demand is so high that I haven't been able to get a reservation there in years. And I still message Jorge, the owner, and be like, Jorge, yeah, I'm coming to town. Do you have any space? He's like, I'm sorry, I don't have any space this time. I was like, oh, well, no big deal. I'll go stay at another cheaper place that's just not as nice. There are many other places that are B&B type joints that they're okay. They're okay. The Indian Embassy in Mexico City. Oh, nice, nice. India's a place I haven't been to yet. I would like to go. I was in Dubai a few years back, and one of my friends says, hey, man, you should go to India. And I was like, what? India? It's kind of far, isn't it? He's like, no, dude, it's only like 3 hours. I was like, what? Yeah, it's just across the ocean. It's just right across the Gulf from here. I was like, what? And I looked up on the map, and I was like, holy moly, it's so close. I was like, how can I go there? He's like, well, you can't. And I was like, why not? He's like, because, you need a visa. It's like, I need a visa? It's like evidently India is one of the at the time, it was one of the few places where American citizens needed a visa to travel to. I think that's changing. I think the American visa is getting less and less influential in that respect, because now I believe we're gonna have to start getting like not visas but like pre-departure authorizations to travel to Europe, which is kind of like sounds to me kind of strange because I've never had to do that. Paige says Mexico City is on my short list of places you should go right away. Don't waste time. Wonderful, wonderful place, wonderful food. Like if you like tacos al pastor, or if you don't even know what tacos al pastor is, there's a place there called El Vilcito. My girlfriend many years ago took me there. I've been in love with this place ever since. I was in love with her back then, so well, I was in love with her. I've always been in love with her, but that just added to the aura, right? The whole like magic of it. But even after things went sour for us, and I would go there, it was still beautiful. So well worth the effort to go there. A place called El Vilcito, Vilsito. It's on a street called La Universidad. Now, the weird thing about this place is that if you go there, you have to go there after like 7:00 in the evening. Better to go there like at 11. That's really when you want to go. You don't want to go during the day. You can't go during the day. After until 4:00, the location is actually an automotive repair shop. So it's basically an automotive repair shop that they have a section that they close, that they open up at 4:00, and it's now a taco joint. And it is the very best tacos al pastor I've had anywhere in the country, in Mexico. And I can't get it. There will never be a trip to Mexico City where I will not go, or at least make every attempt to go to El Vilcito. Like it is stellar. It is the standard to which I hold all tacos al pastor anywhere that I have them. And it is also the number one reason why I tend to not enjoy tacos al pastor anywhere else in the world. There was a place in Veracruz. We went to a place in Veracruz town that there's a plaza there where they have like a market, and there's this one woman that's making tacos al pastor in a small trompo. Okay, hers was as good, but I haven't had anything else as good anywhere. So Indian says that visit Bangalore, New Delhi, Chennai, and Hyderabad. Oh, nice! So many cool places. Try going there. I would like to go. I will try to go. Actually, I should talk to my friend. She lives in Dubai. She was asking me 2 days ago. She's like, we should go traveling. I was like, yes, we should. We haven't done anything in a couple of years, so let's go. She wants to go to the World of Coffee in Panama next year. And I'm like, well, why take so long? Let's not take so long. But she lives far away, so Dev says, you're going to World of Coffee this year? You mean the SCA Houston, is that right? If that's such, if they are they calling Houston World of Coffee? Because yeah, I don't know, but Houston, yes. Other ones, no. Because honestly, I don't really care to go to those things. I'm like, well, like the one to me, since I'm an American-based coffee operator, really for me the only show that in my mind, and I could be totally wrong, and a lot of my friends disagree with me, but in my mind the only show that's really that I need to attend every year is the SCA show that happens here in the United States. I've been to a lot of the other ones because they've had different events that I've attended because I had to go, and they're cool, and you see some things that you don't see, but of course, a lot of those items that you may see in these other countries, they're not distributed in the United States. So if you wanted to have them here, you'd have to become the distributor and buy like a pallet's worth of stuff. And it's like, oh, I don't want to buy a pallet's worth. I just want to buy 6, right? So I don't know. It's cool. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. It's cool if you. But Houston, yes, I've already got my passes. I need to make a hotel. Like my cousin, she was like, you need to make your hotel reservation. What are you waiting for? So, yeah. Jeremiah's with us. What's going on? Quick I'm going to presume that's off topic. Your suggestion for a budget workhorse electric grinder and gooseneck kettle for event coffee cart. Budget workhorse electric grinder, like it depends on how busy you plan to be. Budget workhorse grinder, I mean, I think one of the easy ones to choose for. Oh, okay, so electric grinder and gooseneck kettle. So I'm presuming just brewed coffee. Brand new, I would go get the X54 by Malkonig. A lot of good latitude for coffee grinding, whether you want to do brewed coffee like in a kettle, or if you wanted to get a little bit finer for espresso, it'll work both ways. It's not a terribly fast grinder, but it is a more budget friendly. $500. Hopefully that's not too much out of your budget. I would say that. If you want to go cheaper, I mean, I've been using the Ode Gen 2 from Fellow, pretty darn good. That's about $265. If you need to go even cheaper, like sub $200, the Baratza Encore. And I wouldn't go any lesser than the Baratza Encore. Like you can go, if you really don't have money, like if your budget is super jam tight, I think KitchenAid still makes their flat burr grinder, but it's not really flat burrs in the way we think about it. It's more like we're just crushing the bean. It's not very good. It's marginally better than a whirly bird grinder. But again, if you're stuck on, on budget, that's probably the way. Now, as far as gooseneck kettle, well, the question is, do you need it to like brew itself? See, here's what I do. I would do this if you have a little bit of latitude as far as what you can use, meaning that you can use butane heating sources. I think the most cost-effective and one of the best ways to do it is to go to your local Asian market, like with the big Asian market, like the H Mart or the Latte or whatever you have in your area. Go there, buy yourself a butane burner. They usually have nowadays they have these smaller ones that are kind of cute looking, right? Buy the butane burner, get a few canisters of the butane, look for their big kettles, get yourself a kettle, right? One of their brewing kettles, the tea kettles, where they brew a lot of water. And I would use that to heat up water in a larger quantity, because one of the problems with like these kettles is that, you can get these like Fellow whatever, all these other companies, they have these kettles that are electric. You plug them in, and now you've got to make sure you have enough power for that 1,800 watts or 1,200 watts or whatever it is. And then you now have to boil the water. And however fast it is, there's still that time factor involved. So if you're actually needing to brew coffees constantly, your ability to recover and continue with the next serving is limited by the rate of which that kettle can reheat the water. And if you have to add fresh water, you're plunging your temperatures, taking a long time. Where if you can get yourself a 7-liter kettle and use a butane burner, you can boil those 7 liters. And then I would, and this is kind of how we did it at Spro, is that we would have this big water tower that heated our water to like 96 degrees Celsius. Would hold it at that, and then we'd just dispense it into a regular pouring kettle, whatever. And I like the Hario kettles, right? I like the way they're designed. Hario Bono and the Hario Fit, relatively inexpensive. I like the feel of the handle and the shape of the neck of the spout, and then I like the shape of the neck so that it allows you to control the dripping as you're pouring it. But a lot of that is based on my personal ergonomics and like. So, but if you wanted a good base point to start off with, the Hario kettles are solid and they're pretty ubiquitous and they're easy. They should be relatively easy to get. But again, a lot of it has to do with your personal preference. Like some of my friends, they like the Kalita, the big long, like copper-looking Kalita with the long tapered neck, and they like to pour with that. I don't know why. I don't like it myself. I'm just like, why would I want this long neck? It just seems so superfluous. But again, it's always about personal choice, right? Personal physics. So I hope that answers your question. Paige has added that the El Vilcito, Vilcito, Vilsito, Vilcito, Universidad. Go there. It's amazing. Paige says, I missed going to the SCA Barista Championship in Raleigh because, oh no, I'm sorry to hear you messed up your back. I saw some, I think it was Scott or someone was posting that they were there, and I was thinking, oh, I bet Paige is there. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sure, but you know what? It'll be a good experience for you to go to the tasting, because at the tasting, you'll get to actually taste and interact with the coffees, where you don't get to do that at the competitions, right? You just get to watch people make coffee, and quite honestly, I think it's rather boring. Like I don't watch it. Like I remember my girlfriend many years ago. She's also a judge, and she's an excellent, amazing coffee person, amazing coffee talent. And I remember back when we used to be together, we would go to these trade shows, and she would be like, let's go watch the competitions. And I was like, oh God, I guess this is what love is all about. And I would sit there watching these competitions with her, and I was just hating it, like hating my life. I was like, this is the worst. Like, it's the worst. And I know that, they might sound kind of hypocritical or strange, but I'm just like, I find most presentations in coffee to be just droll and boring, just like incredibly like interesting when I'm the judge, because I'm actually interactive. But as an audience member, I'm like, I don't know how these people bother. Like, you really have to know the competitor to sit through it. And that's what I usually do. If I know the competitor, I like the competitor, or I'm helping the competitor in some way, I'll watch. But otherwise, I'm like, I can't watch this. They really have to be interesting as a competitor, and most of them are not as interesting, Anton, what's going on, Anton? Tried to get a used 64 Sculptor Granite. Oh, there you go. This guy. If you want amazing stuff, listen to Anton. By the way, did you get your espresso machine yet? And Dev says he loves the Time War kettle. And I haven't. I'm sure the Time War's fine. I haven't used it myself. Maybe I'll play with them more at the SCA show this year. We're going to be making more videos on the SCA show floor about whatever products they have. That really, the videos that I make are what I kind of find to be interesting, rather than what's truly new and cutting edge. Because I don't really know what's true and cutting edge. I just kind of wander around the show like, hey, that looks interesting. What's your story? Oh, you did get it. Okay, excellent. And it has exceeded your expectations. Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. Let us know as you progress. I know you're just starting off with it. Paige says, last weekend was at Black and White Roasters, and they actually had tastings and experience it. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's great. But I mean, like, I think what I also mean is that, like, when it comes to like going to the competitions, like you watch as a spectator, you're watching, and perhaps you might think that, hey, that barista's drink sounds really good, sounds really interesting. I would like to try it. Historically, maybe it was different this year, but historically, audience doesn't get to try the drinks, or they don't normally have a setup where the barista, the competitors, are preparing the drinks that they prepared for the competition for visitors, for spectators, which I think would be, to me, the most interesting thing about a barista championship competition is the signature drink, because it's the one that's outside the box. It's the one that's different. It's the one that requires creativity and that offers something unique. Not to say that you can't get great espresso or great milk drinks, which are the other two drink categories, but I think the one that really captivates people's attention is the signature drink. And as I talk to my friends who are competitors or competitors over the year, they come up with these somewhat interesting drinks, but they never utilize them. And I'm like, why would you not utilize them in your bar? Like, one of my personal criteria as a competitor in these competitions was that whatever drink we made, we came up with for the signature drink, no matter how wild, no matter how complex, I would never use it in a competition unless I was willing to execute it in the cafe environment in real time. And I mean, I had one where we had peeled grapes on stems with peanut butter, and we executed that in the bar. And and I had a lot of baristas would tell me over the years that people that I competed with, they were like, it's too difficult. It's like, what do you mean it's too difficult? Are you not a craftsperson? Are you not a barista professional? What are you, just like a dancing monkey? For this one competition, you come up with these interesting, innovative ideas, but you don't know how to execute them on a daily basis. You don't know how to figure out how to do it on the line in the moment. Like, I have a hard time respecting that. I'm like, you know, like, I want to make it hard. Like, I want to make it difficult and like challenging, right? Like when we started the Spro in Hamden, we could have done it many different ways, but I was like, really, one of the things in my mind is, how do we make it awesome, and how do we make it extremely difficult? Like, how do we make it ridiculously difficult, right? Like, we're going to offer all these coffees at these different price points, and we're going to offer like 7 different ways of brewing that the customer can come in and order. We're going to offer all this craziness, right? Because, we need to stretch ourselves and push ourselves forward. Because otherwise, everyone's just going to want coffee and AirPods, and they're okay with that. Paige says, I'm kind of thinking about the 064 Sculptor or a DF64G2 or DF64. Oh, nice. Nice. See, this is the problem when you're going out to all these events. You go to these events, you're tasting beautiful coffees, you're meeting all these sexy coffee people, and suddenly you're like, I need to get better gear. I need to be more beautiful. This is why I don't go to coffee events. Because I'm okay with being chubby and not so beautiful. And with my old grinders. Anton says, in the last few days, I noticed my flavor sensitivity has gone up somehow, which is a good thing, but now I also taste subtle defects more. I know it's not the water or the grinder because I use both. I wonder, though, if perhaps maybe since you got the new machine and your quality presumably has increased, so your perception of that has increased along with that. I wonder if that could be part of it. Anton says, different grinder, different for pour over and espresso. Gotcha. Oh yeah, both different for pour over. Paige says, have had the Weber grinders at the events I've been to. That's forever. But is it really? It just takes a little saving, that's all. Those Webers are my friend has the Weber, and I think it's kind of cool. I was like, that's kind of cool. Kind of too expensive, but kind of cool. There's a lot of cool stuff. Like, I was thinking about buying that one roaster, the roaster that I featured in one of the videos. I was like, that's kind of cool. I should get that. But then I already have a roaster. Why would I need more? Like, that's just foolishness. What I need is more Festool. That's what I need. Paige says, that's a roof for my house. What do you need a roof for? Well, yeah, roof, no doubt about that. Roof expensive. Anton says, if I had that kind of money, I wouldn't go for Weber. See, why must you rain on Paige's parade like that? Let her enjoy the moment. Germans, you guys were so efficient, so efficient. It's like, if I had that money, it would not be worth it. Anton says, I don't know, I would wait for something better to release than the Weber. Maybe get a Cafetech grinder. Then again, the only endgame grinder company that doesn't have some bad rep is Lagom. But they look... There's always something, isn't there? There's always something. Dev says Weber is definitely the Rolls Royce in the coffee scene. I mean, I think it's pretty darn dope. I was like, oh, that's pretty dope. My buddy Greg Skase has one, and I was like, man, every time we're at his house, I'm like, oh, this is nice. I don't think he paid for it. Oh no, I think he did pay for that one. I think he bought that. He gets some because he does a lot of product development for our companies. He gets some of the gear for free, and I'm like, or they give it to him for testing. I was like, this is some dope equipment. Paige says, because the current roof will be needing replacement in the next few years or so. Well, but that's the thing, though. Like, let's say you save for a year and buy the Weber. You could save for another 2, 3, 4, 5 years before you get the roof. There's always a way to make it sound reasonable. Paige says, Bird is a Rolls Royce of French press immersion. Oh, I'm not familiar with Bird. The only Weber product I have, the Bird from Weber. I have to check that out. I'll have to check that out. But, I kind of have when it comes to even with the Espro, it's like, did I just pay all this money for an Espro that's just a French press? When I have a Chambord that is perfectly fine. Anton says the problem with the Bird is if I had it, it would fly out of my hands. I already trashed like 5 French. Oh, yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem. What you need is the Lexan, the plexiglass one that doesn't break. Like, we had those for many years, and awesome, because you could drop them, they would never break. They might crack a little bit, get some splintering, but they never break. And never we never broke one. We never cracked one to the point where it actually leaked. But the real problem with those is that after you use them for a while, and we use them at the time, this is back in 2006, we used them pretty heavily because that was our main brewing source. And they scratch and they get cloudy and it's not so pretty anymore. So we'd end up replacing them anyway. That's the only downside that I think of those. All right, well, let me go I have to go to the lumber yard now. So, and I have to use the phone to get there because I don't know where it is. So I'm going to head out now. Thank you very much for tuning in. Sorry we had a little bit of technical difficulties in the early parts of the show, but we're back again on Monday. We should be back on track again. I'm back home now after being away for all week. So back again on Monday with another episode of the Coffee Q&A. So hope you have a great weekend. Paige, have a good time at Harbor. If you see Scott, tell him I said hello. And